Welcome back to the Casket Minds podcast, your destination for all things gaming, including the latest in-game industry news, in-depth reviews, and impressions. On today's episode of Casket Minds, we're talking initial impressions of Oblivion Remastered, what Ghost of Yotei means for the rest of the year, and another cool game has been canceled. Womp womp. We'll dive into all of these and more right now. But before we do, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Drew. As always. Drew Bean, how are we feeling?
Feeling good. I just participated in a networking event today with a bunch of lead and senior UX designers in the game industry. So that was really cool. Got a lot of cool insights. One of the people that was hosting it, he started at Microsoft years and years ago. He was actually one of the designers behind the Xbox 360 dashboard. So he dropped some cool like little trivia info about that. And then also being behind like the achievements for the 360. So he was talking about how like, he's like, I know it kind of became a meme, but it was really cool, being a part of that. So yeah, it was a really cool experience. So I'm feeling great right now.
That is fantastic. I'm going to steal one of your favorite sayings, in that it's the best time of year for gaming. It feels like Christmas time. Yes. All the Switch 2 stuff, new hardware is always exciting. We're on the precipice of Summer Game Fest. We're like 6 weeks away at this point. I think actually it might be 6 weeks away today or yesterday. It's something crazy like that. We're coming. Like, it's coming up
for sure.
But yeah, it's a great time. It's even better, but we're going to explain why it's better right now. We've got 12 items on the docket, an actual dozen, not even a baker's dozen, an actual dozen items on the docket today. That's pretty exciting. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
But for our topic of the show, the main point that we really are going to dive into is something that we weirdly didn't talk about the last couple episodes, mainly because it seemed too good to be true, I think. So obviously, if you're listening to this past week, Oblivion Remastered was announced and shadow dropped. I can't remember what the date was. Was it the 22nd that it dropped, Drewby? Yes, the 22nd.
Yeah, it was.
It was rumored the 21st. Jeff Grubb from Jeff Grubb Things. He's all over the internet. But he had leaked a while ago that this was a huge thing. And actually, we covered on the Casket Minds podcast when it happened. But when the FTC leak happened, there was a bunch of things that got leaked from that court case. And Oblivion Remastered was one of them. As well as some other things like Fallout 3 Remastered, Indiana Jones, which wasn't announced quite yet, got leaked there. New hardware that Xbox plans on doing. I believe the Xbox handheld was first leaked there. Really, really cool stuff due to unfortunate circumstances, of course. But nonetheless, very cool stuff. But Oblivion came out, and it is fantastic, Drew. Yes. You've played a handful of hours now. Give me those initial impressions.
Yeah, I am absolutely in love.
Same.
It's this weird thing where, like, I'm remembering everything just like I remembered it before, but it also feels new at the same time. The gameplay improvements are so huge. Like, being able to sprint is such a game changer. And then the combat just feels so good now. So it's just been really fun re-experiencing it. And the game looks gorgeous. So it really does feel like you're playing a next-gen game or like a current-gen game. It doesn't feel like a half step or anything. They put a lot of thought and effort into this, which is just really impressive. So yeah, I'm absolutely in love. I've just been playing the main quest right now, but I finally picked up some side quests when I last hopped on, and I'm gonna start like kind of just exploring and doing other stuff because I've got some pretty good gear now, and I'm ready to just kind of explore the world.
That's awesome. What's your history with Oblivion? Did you play the original back in the day?
Yeah. I played Oblivion way back in the day. I actually played it before I had Xbox Live.
Nice. Me too.
And so I there's probably a lot of achievements that I got way back in the day that I never even got on my Xbox Live account currently, just because I didn't have Xbox Live for the longest time. Um, but yeah, I played it a ton. Obviously, played Shivering Isles, which is goated. And I love Skyrim. Don't get me wrong, but there's just a part of me that slightly prefers Oblivion, and I think part of it is because there's a lot of quests in here that don't really hold your hand. Like there's like the riddles that you have to solve for the Mythic Dawn quests,
Hmm.
and just like different things like that throughout the game that kind of lean more heavily into actually being a role playing game. And so I've had so much fun playing it.
Remind me, have you played Morrowind?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
Yeah.
my first Elder Scrolls was Morrowind. My childhood best friend had a copy for the Xbox. Actually, it might have only been on Xbox. Probably well, obviously PC too, but I think it might have been console exclusive to Xbox. That's neither here nor there. The important part is that, in my view, I think that the Elder Scrolls in general, it's not that they're getting worse, right? It's that they're becoming more catered to the casual audience, and you can see that from just Oblivion to Skyrim, but from Morrowind to Oblivion as well. Maybe not as gigantic of a leap, but Morrowind is such an insane sandbox that you can kill elder gods in that game, and you cannot beat the game if you legitimately kill a main story character. There's nothing that you can't do. I don't believe, if I remember correctly, you can kill anyone and everyone if you're strong enough. And the amount of things that you can do in that game. I remember we had this huge buffet of spells at my disposal at one point that I could just levitate anywhere I wanted to in the world, and I would just consistently cast levitate, and I could walk across the sky, and it was insane.
That's awesome.
But this isn't the Morrowind podcast, unfortunately. So I'm going to dive into my Oblivion. I'll start with my history. I picked it up one day at GameStop. I got the Game of the Year edition, which included Shivering Isles, everything on disc back then.
That's the same one that I had.
It's the 2-disc module back then. Oh, so iconic.
Yes, yeah.
But I spent an entire summer playing Oblivion and mostly Shivering Isles just because of how huge and how much I love that DLC. In between school years, I remember I would wake up and I would just play Oblivion all day, and that's and there was so much content there. And there's a ton of stuff in Skyrim, but it's not as thought out. It's not as unique as Oblivion's. I'm the opposite of you, kind of, where I've closed my first Oblivion gate, but other than that, I haven't done much else except for explore, and I'm 6 or 7 hours in. I'm on the way. I don't fast travel to the locations. I'm I got my steady steed, and I'm going to and from. And if I find a little cave or something, I'm ooh, I'm going in there. And so far, no cave has been the same, and that's exactly how I remembered it from back in the day. It's but the reason I say that is because Skyrim, you walk in and the caves are very similar.
Yeah.
There's 3 to 4 probably layouts, and you get one of those handful of options. But I'm very, very impressed by this remaster. And honestly, it could be argued that it could be a remake. The amount of work that has gone into this game is impeccable. They've re-recorded voice lines, which, a little fun fact for everyone, because I learned this week, and I think it's really cool. Linda Carter did all of the female NPC voices in Oblivion, the original. I think that is such an awesome fun fact that I didn't know, so I wanted to pass that on to everyone. But yeah, so I lost my train of thought because I was so excited about the fun fact. But anyways, I won't gush too much. But I think that the thing. Oh, okay, I remember now. So the improvements that they were making. There's a sprint, as Drew alluded to earlier. Um, there is a dodge mechanic if you level up your acrobatics enough, which
Yeah.
I don't know if you do it, but like the old school, I'm so used to not being able to sprint in Elder Scrolls games that I'm jumping everywhere I go, and I still do it, especially like when I'm out of stamina. I'm jumping. So I'm so, and like the other day I was VMing you about something. I don't even remember what at this point, but I was just jumping around, pressing Y on my controller as I was talking to you aimlessly, and I leveled up like 3 or 4 times in like a 6 minute VM, which is amazing. But there's a dodge mechanic in this, and like they've upgraded the parrying. It's not really a parrying system, so don't think of like Sekiro or like a top tier parry system. But there's a improved dodge mechanic in this game. The combat still feels like Elder Scrolls, but it feels better than any Elder Scrolls games has ever felt before. The classes returning and being able to like mix and mingle things is such a cool little addition. Like I've missed that kind of thing from an RPG. And what I mean by that is I know that RPGs, there's plenty of RPGs, especially on like smaller scales. But what I'm talking about is like an Elder Scrolls sized, like AAA, huge open world with 100 game content, like 100 hours of game, 100 hours of content. My Atlanta. And I don't know, man. It feels magical. It feels both nostalgic and new at the same time, which is a huge compliment to both Bethesda and Virtuos, who made this remaster. Obviously, this is blurring the lines even further of what a remaster and a remake is, and I think that that's good for the industry at whole, because it doesn't feel cheap. And it doesn't feel perfect yet, but I feel like this is one of the best remasters that we've gotten almost ever. Like I put it up there with like Metroid Prime remastered, something that like you take something so iconic, it still feels like the original game, but it's also feels modernized, and I think that's a huge thing going forward for the industry at large. I saw right before we started recording that the old, so stick with me here, the top, the navigation bar where it's like, it's the compass. It's the compass. The north, south, east, west. Yeah. I saw the old Oblivion one, and I guess I just didn't remember what it looked like originally. And I was like, man, now that I wish they would have kept, because that thing is so iconic. That little like tan and brown outline.
Yeah.
My favorite colors, but that's not important. But it just looks so freaking good, dude. I can't wait to continue to get lost. I can't wait to. I don't remember a lot of the story beats, though I know it's not a super sophisticated story, but it's fun replaying those. And I cannot wait to get to Shivering Isles, because that's my favorite DLC of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. Shivering Isles is just so freaking cool. So I'm hyped to get there as well. But yeah, I'm just having so much fun with it. I prefer Oblivion's story over Skyrim's. I love the Oblivion gates. I love that you're, working to find like the heir of the emperor, and like I don't know, there's just something about it that hits different for me. But I wanted to say what you talked about earlier, the way that it's blurring the line between remasters and remakes. I really hope that this kind of like sets a new precedent of like, hey, when you actually remaster a game, you can remaster it. It doesn't need to just be, oh, well, it's upscaled to 4K and has 60 FPS. It's like, no, make some quality of life changes in there and more, and you can actually make it like very visually impressive. The only other remaster that I can really think of that's updated the graphics like to this extent before is like the Master Chief Collection with Halo 2. I feel like we haven't seen like a huge leap between an original and a remaster since then. There might be one that I'm forgetting about, but it's been a long while regardless.
Yeah.
Like we just don't really see that very often for remasters. So I really hope that this shows developers like, hey, stop doing minimal effort on your remasters, go the extra mile. And I think this goes to show that like sometimes when you hand off your game to another developer who's not like a part of your team internally, they can crank out some really awesome stuff. Virtuous is also, they have a team working on the Metal Gear remake. So it seems like this is kind of their thing now, is just like doing remakes and remasters that are just, top tier. I mean, obviously we don't have the Metal Gear remake yet, but it's looking like it's shaping up to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
So other studios out there, take some notes.
That's also a great point because we lost what, in my opinion, was the GOAT of ports in Blueprint to Sony. Like when Sony bought them, that took a huge, magnificent developer off the quote unquote free market for just ports in general. So if you don't know who Blueprint is, they did the Metal Gear 1 and 2, and then Metal Gear Solid 1 through 3. They did those remakes, Shadow of the Colossus. They did Demon Souls for the PS5. And after that success, Sony picked them up, which makes sense because they were doing Sony exclusives anyway. But they were the GOAT supporting things. Oh, they also did the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, which were fantastic. Which they changed. I mean, they didn't change it, but they modernized it in a way. And obviously, the 60 FPS alone modernizes things. But fantastic stuff. And Virtuos seems like, because they're not owned by Xbox, correct? Is that true?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. We'll look into that. But fantastic work. I love that Bethesda is so supportive of them. And speaking of Bethesda support, there's a developer, Jesus, a indie, I guess group. I don't know what to call them. I guess they're developers, but they were making Oblivion again in the Skyrim like assets, I suppose. I'm not too familiar with what all the nuances and stuff, but I know that Sky Oblivion was a thing. And it's very unfortunate that both of those are launching in the same year, especially when Xbox just pulled Oblivion Remastered out of their hat. It was like, here we go, it's out.
Yeah.
And though like it leaked and stuff, like, and we knew it was coming, we didn't actually know that it was coming, right? Like until it's actually announced, unveiled, like anything can happen in between those two things. We were supposed to get a Series Elite 3 controller from Xbox, and that hasn't shown up yet. Though the Elite Series 2 went on sale like drastically, and as of recent weeks, so maybe that's incoming.
Yeah.
But this isn't the Xbox podcast, so I digress. Very solid points, Drewby. The modernization, I think, is really good. I think that there's still some work to be done on this game, I think, because it's not perfect. And I think usually I'm annoyed when people are like, it's not perfect. It's like, well, nothing really is. But even like masterpieces aren't perfect. You know what I mean? But I'm going to be hypocritical here and be like, on PC, it runs very good for the most part. But like, there's a lot of staggering and stuff. Especially like when it was so seamless in those dungeons. And as soon as I walked out of the sewers, which is the very beginning of the game, so don't worry about spoilers. This is very, very beginning stuff. You're like creating your character as you go through these sewers. As soon as you get outside, like outside of Cyrodiil, the frames like crumbled. I was at like 180 and it went to like right above 70 some, but like I play on the 240 hertz monitor, so it's like, what happened there? So I played, most of my playtime was the launch day, because luckily I had off of work. And so later that night, I played mostly on PC, and then I switched to Xbox that night because I was like, I'm curious, how well does this run? For the most part, it runs really good. Yeah. And the auto HDR on the Xbox makes it look like an entirely different game, which is very impressive because this game doesn't have HDR, which is a huge counterpoint to like the argument of remake versus remaster, because especially with like UE5, Unreal Engine 5, HDR, especially in 2025, is like almost a guaranteed thing in most games, but it's not there in this remaster for some reason, and it's like, why isn't it there? But anyway,
Yeah.
it has ray tracing, has lumen ray tracing, which is a different form of ray tracing, but that's very nerdy stuff, and we're not Digital Foundry, so we won't bore you to death with that. Just know that this game looks and plays really good. It doesn't have any game-breaking things, though I will say my game crashed like 3 or 4 times in like the 5 hours I played on PC. And I'll also say this, is that I am a person that like checks menus a lot, so that like when I get something in my inventory, like a problem I've had with this game is I'm trying to pick up everything like I always do in RPGs, and I'm over encumbered every 5 minutes, so I'm constantly like dropping and like debating what I want to drop, or like using a health potion to like get that 0.5 down so I can walk again. But in the menus, I've had like 3 or 4 crashes on PC, sadly.
Okay.
But just something to think about if you're not a Game Pass user. This game is out everywhere: Xbox, PC, PlayStation. It's only $50, and it's well worth $50. You get everything that you get from back in the day, fully remastered. The game looks amazing. It feels amazing. It plays amazing. This is an amazing, amazing game. If you've never played Oblivion, which I know that Drew and I are a little bit older now, it's well worth your time. And if you like RPGs of any kind, I think that you would very much enjoy this. And for people that only played like Skyrim, because I know like non-gamers don't, or non-gamers have played Skyrim or at least know of it, give it a chance, and you might be surprised how much you like it.
For sure. Yeah, I couldn't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. And I've seen a lot of people who are massive Skyrim fans who haven't played Oblivion before, and they're finally getting their hands on Oblivion, and they're like, where has this been all my life? Like, just like the amount of like love it's receiving from fans of Elder Scrolls, people who have never played Oblivion, everything in between. It's just, once again, a great time to be a gamer right now. Just seeing the like massive outcry of just positivity towards this game. It feels really good to like be a part of that.
Agreed. And it's great to be back in Cyrodiil. I love this area. I did not realize in my youth how connected this game was to Skyrim and even Morrowind. Like, we know now that all these things are super connected and like it's one giant world, but like back then I was like, it's a new Elder Scrolls game. You don't have to play all the other ones. Even though I played Morrowind, I'm like, I don't need to know everything. And like they're talking about like Dragonborns and stuff like that. And this one they like mentioned prior locations, and I'm like, I know what those are because my brain's fully developed now. But yeah, like I've even like, I don't know. I'm so into like this world and like this lore and universe, whatever you want to call it, series, franchise, that like I caught myself reading a book the other day in game, and I was like, what am I doing? I could go like kill some goblins or something. Go kill Goblin Jim. But yeah, I was like, I'm getting too into the weeds, but that's the kind of stuff I love. Like, if I can get into the lore within a game that already is like so in depth with its lore across a multi-game franchise, you're doing something right. And this is when Bethesda was cooking on all fronts. And this is one of their best offerings, arguably their best offering. And yeah, it's so good. I can't recommend it enough. Please go play this game. Switching gears a bit, Drewby.
Yep.
I'm going to air out my grievances right now. So if you missed it, a week and a half or so ago, I guess now, the marathon event showcase gameplay reveal happened. That was our first ever live stream. If you want to watch that, you can do so on youtube.com/casketmines or at twitch.tv/casketmines. The full VOD is up there, as well as a shortened and before and after impressions of Marathon. But during that event, they were doing like creator codes and stuff like that. And we had thought that if one of us gets into the alpha, the closed alpha that they're having, that we would have 2 invites. Turns out almost all of my friends got into the alpha except for me. I've had like 2 or 3 other people hit me up and be like, "Hey, I got into the alpha. You want to play some?" I'm like, "Still waiting on my code, man." You know. And if you watch the full VOD, you'll watch me like try and scramble to try and go get a code. I even took the stupid ass survey that they made me take to try and get this code.
Yeah.
20 questions, by the way. That's egregious. You don't need to know all
Yeah,
my
it was a
information.
very, very long survey.
And it's like, man, just open this thing up. But yeah, I'm frustrated that I still don't have a code. And like I don't need a hand me out, but like I took your survey. That's all I had to do. So like, why can't I have your code? You know what I mean? I got into the rematch. I can't remember if that's an alpha or a beta, but
I think it's beta.
I think it is a beta. Yeah, yeah, alpha for marathon, beta for rematch. And I almost switched gears too much. I'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to hear what your impressions are of marathon.
Yeah, well, I think just real quick, I want to air out my grievances too with the whole like signing up thing. This is a 3-person squad game. Why did you only let the codes that you get from watching the streams have friend codes with them? That doesn't make any sense. Does not make any sense at all. It should be for anyone who gets a code, give 2 friend codes. That way you can actually play with your friends. Which leads me into my impressions of the game. I played I want to say like 7 or 8 matches last night. Some were really quick, some like lasted until like the very last minute. Out of those 8 matches, I had 2 successful runs. Which I would have had more, but my teammates were not communicating on the mic, were not pinging anything, and just were not good at all. Which is a shame because like one of my first matches, I wiped an entire team on my own. And my teammates were just like goofing off. Like they weren't like helping me at all. But it's not easy to wipe an entire team in that game. Like, especially if the other team is like super coordinated, and the team that I was fighting was very coordinated. They were on top of their communication and everything. I was just barely able to like outsmart them and get the win on them. But shortly after that, another team pulls up, wipes out my entire team. And you know, like I get it, like some people don't want to chat on the mic or whatever, but you know, there needs to be like some level of communication when you're playing a game like this, especially an extraction shooter. You have to communicate with your teammates. And so the fact that I'm not able to play with you or like my other friends because they didn't get a code and I can't invite them, that sucks. So it is negatively impacting my gameplay experience a lot. But on the flip side, when I had those successful runs, I was having a blast. I think that when you're like in those gunfights with other teams, it's super intense. Also, the AI in here are really smart, and they will fry you if you're not like keeping on top of things. So there's this like real sense of danger when you're playing the game. But I will say for like it feels like the first 5 minutes of every match, it feels just a little bit too slow. There's a little bit too much downtime in that first 5 minutes because it'll go from like nothing's happening. There's not really any like dialogue or music, and it kind of feels a little bit empty. And then all of a sudden it jumps to like 1000% intensity. And I know that's something that happens a lot in extraction shooters, but I just wish the like first few minutes of every match just had a little bit of something to kind of make the momentum feel a little bit smoother. And I know there's like things here and there that they could tweak to definitely improve that. But I think the core gameplay is fantastic. The movement feels great. The gunplay is on another level. I think like this is some of the best like feeling shooting that I've played in a game. 100%. The weapons look and feel and sound incredible. Sound design is so good. I still really love the art style, but because it is an alpha, there's certain textures that like aren't finalized. So like a lot of the foliage like outside is just like it looks very unfinished. But as soon as you enter a building, the graphics are like so freaking good. They
Hmm.
really like did a great job on all of the interiors. So it's like a night and day difference when you're inside and outside. So I hope that's something that they improve, which I'm sure it is. I know it's just like because it's an alpha, they haven't finalized everything.
Yeah.
Um, but I think like overall it's a really strong package, but there's just things here and there that I would change. Like I think the pacing needs to be improved a little bit. I think that there needs to be a duos or a solo mode. I think that it shouldn't be, oh well, you can solo queue with trios, because it's just there's too much like happening to really be able to like hold your own. I mean, yes, I said earlier that I wiped a team on my own, but like that was just one team. When you have a bunch of other teams in the match, that gets super overwhelming. And like I want the option there to be able to take on that challenge, but like that's just not the way that I want to play an extraction shooter. Um, so I think making changes like that, and then there needs to be some quality of life changes with like just the overall UI and UX. I think that there's a little bit like just too much information on the screen whenever you're like going through your inventory. It doesn't look bad. I think it just needs to be streamlined just a little bit more. And I know that's something that they could definitely do before launch, but
Yeah.
I think just making those, quality of life changes will really improve the gameplay experience. Um, I definitely think this is a game that I'm gonna like play a lot when it comes out. I really do enjoy it. There's just things here and there where I'm like, man, this needs to be improved. This needs to be improved. And they're already taking feedback into consideration. I know they already dropped like an update or two within the alpha to fix some things. Um, so that's what these alphas are for. And, you know, yes, the game is launching in September and it seems like a short turnaround, but some of the changes that I'm suggesting like will definitely be able to be improved like realistically in that short time frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just hope that some of the hate around it is just so dumbfounded and like so uncalled for. Um, there is a good game here, and it just has things that need to be fixed and improved, but it's an alpha and that's what that's for.
Yeah. I think you made a lot of solid points in there, and I appreciate your insight because like you were mentioning that you wiped a team that it wasn't easy. It's like you're not a stranger to Bungie, and you're not a stranger to like these online multiplayer shooters. Like we play Fortnite all the time. We usually in trios as well.
Yeah,
I do hope that they eventually add solo and duos, maybe even quads, depending on. I can't remember the player count. Could you remind me of that? Is it 24 on at least that one map that you're
I
testing?
believe it's 24. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can play quads even then, six groups of four. If they want to. Obviously, it's their vision, it's their game, but obviously there's an opportunity there to create something. And I think some maps are gonna be like 8 players, right? Like 2v2v2s maybe.
Um,
I feel
I
like
don't
that.
know. I don't know if they confirmed anything about that or not. I know there's two maps in the alpha right now, and we have the third one
Oh,
that's going to be coming out at launch.
I,
And then they
I
have
thought
a
only one
fourth
map was on launch or at the
in
alpha.
the alpha. No, there's two.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Do you happen to know the player count for each?
They're both 24. Yeah,
Okay, interesting.
yeah. So maybe the third map will be a smaller one. I'm not sure. But I know that the fourth map, it's rumored that it's gonna be on the actual like marathon ship, um, from like the original game, and from what I heard, it's supposed to be like a high skill kind of map. It's gonna be like more difficult, higher tier gear. Um, consider it as like an end game kind of map, essentially.
Hmm.
Um, Like, so, like it's like rumored that it's gonna have almost like even like raid like mechanics from Destiny, just like a lot of like secrets around the map, which is
Yeah.
really that to me sounds really cool because you know, when I had some downtime on one of the maps, I was just like basically parkouring across like this huge like facility. There's just a ton of buildings and there's like secret like exits and entrances, and you could like run along pipes on the side of the building that you probably wouldn't really normally think to like go like and like walk along that that led to like other like cool areas and stuff. And there's even like key cards for like doors that are locked, and you have to like find them to unlock those doors to get into. So there's a lot of like cool mechanics like that that I think will make the replayability really fun. And then there's even like in-game events that'll just randomly happen, and weather can I haven't encountered it yet, but apparently there's like weather effects that'll come in randomly too.
Yeah, I believe they talked about the weather effects at the gameplay reveal little showcase thing they did. That's interesting, though, that you gave a lot more information that I didn't even know that was available. So thank you for that. That was fantastic. Yeah. I'm very pumped to play this game when I do get to play this game, but like the longer we have to wait for alpha codes for people that were signing up like pre and during your stream, it's very discouraging. Yeah. Like I all I want to do is play your game, but I won't go on a tirade. I'm really excited for this, and I think that's shown through our content. How excited I am for it, but that day has yet to come. So I'm really looking forward to playing it. I haven't watched any like actual like anyone playing it. I want to experience it firsthand first, so that like I go in completely blind. But yeah, that's really cool. And to your points about like updating stuff, like even before launch, I know that they've had like I don't want to say content creators because I don't think that's the correct thing. I think that their own community members, like I know Paris from Gamer Tag Radio, Kind of Funny fame. Also, like he has his own YouTube channel now as well, I believe. Anywho, he has been like a part of like the committee or like the stand-in, sit-in, whatever you want to call it, like community like driven things since I believe 2022 or 2023, I believe. And like Mr. Waffle Waffles, he also was a part of it for a good while as well. So they're listening and like updating and like changing quality of life things, like the UI, UX kind of things. Hopefully they tighten that up. And like this is a live service game at the end of the day. Like this thing is forever going to be evolving and changing and, you know, updating and getting it to where they want and need it to be. So we'll stick around. We'll play a lot of Marathon when it comes out. Hopefully I can get to the alpha soon and we can make some more content about it and just play it. I really want to play that game. Yeah. I love Bungie like gameplay. I love the feel. I love the atmosphere. I love the gunplay. It's so good. And that's something I really want to play right now. Is just sit down, play a few matches, get out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that day is yet upon us. I was able to play Rematch this past weekend. I was invited into the beta on Steam. And so I'm just going to give you a quick little impressions about this. This is from the creators and the developers of Sifu. So instead of Rematch, I call this Fifu because it's funny. Nice. And dude, this game, this is going to be all of my shit. Like, as someone who has put thousands of hours into Rocket League, this is a little bit more skilled. Well, I won't say that. That sounds demeaning, and I might not even mean that. There's a learning curve that comes with Rocket League. That's again in Rematch, where you have to know what you're doing in order to succeed. You can of course look up and you can score a goal. You can make a pass. Like passing isn't the easiest thing in this game. Like it took me an entire game to learn how to pass correctly and to pass well. But this game is awesome. I got to play, I think, 90 minutes to 2 hours, something like that, over this past weekend, and
Nice.
it was so much fun. I cannot wait for this game to come out. Um, it's unfortunately one of those things where like no one wants to communicate in game, and there's like 3 or 4 quick chat options, similar to how Rocket League was in the very beginning of like, pass me the ball, great job,
Yeah.
shoot it. Actually, I don't even think there's a shoot it. I think that like I don't even think there's like a what a save option. So it's very limited in what it is now, but you can see that the structure is there and that this can be like an esports kind of ordeal. Like I was there like day 0 for Rocket League because it was a PlayStation Plus free game when it launched. This is pre Epic buyout. This is pre it even existing like in the mainstream. It was a very fun game with a steeper learning curve, and I feel like this might even have a more steep learning curve. But like for people that genuinely love soccer, there's so deep of mechanics in this game that like you're really going to get your money's worth. And I think it's only like $30 at launch, and obviously it'll go and sell a lot. Just
Yeah. And it's coming to Game Pass day 1.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, even better. I'm gonna buy this one because I think it's special, and I really want them to continue supporting this. But like, this feels like another passion project in the same way that Sifu did.
Yeah.
And it shows like the mechanics aren't like anything else that I've played in a game. You can do 4v4, 5v5 with one of them being the goalkeeper.
Nice.
So and like it's super interchangeable. So like on kickoffs, after like someone scores at the beginning of the game, if you run into like the keeper's box, and if there's no keeper, you become the keeper, and it's a whole different control scheme than if you're like a forward.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so and like to just if you don't want to be the keeper, you can go out. Of course, you're not going to have a keeper, but like if you're actually communicating, which again, not there was already toxic people in the beta, unfortunately. There was this one guy who was just completely talking shit, but he couldn't make a save to save his life, and it was so funny. I was like, "You can't score or save it, so why are you talking to me right now?" But it was super funny that whole exchange.
Yeah.
But you can go back and forth as long as someone isn't already the keeper. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I would recommend you guys go watch any gameplay video if you like soccer or just like, even if you don't like it like a ton, if you're just casually into it, it's a very fun multiplayer game that you can play with your friends. And if you don't love soccer, like you can still have a very comedic processing time out of this because like there's so many zany things that can happen with the ball or with the players or like because it's not like a traditional out of bounds. Like it has walls around it, so you can kick it off the wall, like to another wall, bounce it back to your friend. They can shoot it from like the halfway line. It's insane, but it's a very fun time, and I cannot wait to play more.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I saw a clip a few days ago, and this guy was just doing some crazy tricks while dribbling the ball, juked someone out, kicked the ball off of the wall above the goal, and then ended up scoring. And I was like, man, I'm going to put so many hours into this game when it comes out because that is my stuff right there. I bought Rocket League whenever it first came out on Xbox. Played a good bit about of it for like the first few months, and then like just like have like these random streaks of time where I'll play it a bunch. But there's something about Rematch that appeals to me just a little bit more. And just from seeing the gameplay, it looks like there's a little bit more deeper mechanics. Not in a way of like, downplaying how Rocket League is played, but I definitely think they're just from being an outsider who hasn't played Rematch yet, it does look like there's a little bit of like a deeper learning curve and like there's a higher skill gap because at the end of the day, Rocket League just has like, basically like 3 core mechanics. But Rematch has a little bit more complexity to it. So I think it'll just make it feel even more competitive. But then also the fact that it is up to 5v5 is awesome because like we'll be able to, play with all our friends. So I'm really, really hyped to get my hands on it. I wish I could have played the beta.
It's very exciting stuff, and I can't wait for it to come out. I believe that release date is July, but
June 19th.
June 9th. Ooh, even better.
Yeah.
Which, ooh, that's not good. We'll get to why that's not very good later on in the show. But oh man, June is gonna be freaking stacked.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of games this summer. That's actually both impressive and worrying because summer is usually like you can catch up on all the spring games before all the fall games come out and all the winter games. And it's like, not this year, buddy. You got a Nintendo Switch.
It really is Summer Game Fest this year.
Seriously. But just before we leave Rematch, the customization is very bare bones because nothing's launched and they're not trying to sell you anything yet. But there's already like a few options. And I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't quote me. But it seemed as if there was like you have your home colors and away colors, right, as jersey types. And it wasn't a voting system, but before each game you could like pick one of them. And then that's what your colors would be. And I don't know if it's going to be different for everyone on everyone's different ends, which would be very unique and interesting. And I honestly think that's actually very valid. And I think that's a good way of selling microtransactions is that like, if you're not voting for something and you can use your own thing no matter what, like even in FIFA, you can't, or FC now, you can't do that. Like you have to vote on what you want, like the kits to look like.
Yeah.
But there's like prosthetic legs and like prosthetic arms. There's the actual like looks in terms of like ethnicity and like you can't like do like ears, mouth, chin, like all that kind of stuff. It's not that in depth, but I'm assuming that if that doesn't come, there'll be like a bunch of like base sets, and you got to imagine like they'll team up with like the Premier League at some point, and you can get like actual jerseys or something like that. You got to imagine that's coming in some way or fashion. Because I think
that Man U set.
Seriously,
or maybe I don't actually.
Yeah, you don't want to curse yourself.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that they could do with this, and I can see the vision. So I'm very, very excited for it. So if you are interested in a new multiplayer game, check out Rematch. It's very exciting. But for now, we're going to switch gears from multiplayer impressions to something very exciting. Not only was a game called Oblivion Remastered dropped this week, Shadow dropped this week, I should say. I want to keep highlighting that because like one of the best remasters of all time technically came out of nowhere for most casual audiences. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not a casual anyways. But there was a game that came out this week on Xbox Game Pass. It's not exclusive to Xbox, but it's on Xbox Game Pass, which makes the Oblivion drop a little shaky for me because I'm like, man, they really should have just let this game shine. Is Expedition 33. It's actually called Claire Obscure Expedition 33. It's a very, very cool premise. Do you know what the premise is, Drewby?
I know a little bit of it, just mostly from, like the main trailers that they've released, but I haven't like looked too deeply into the game. So yeah.
So I'll do like a small quick thing of what I know. I haven't played the game yet. It just came out, so I haven't had any time to play it. I'm going to do so over the weekend, and I'll give you some impressions next week for sure. Essentially, what I think is from the trailer that I've seen, which is I think is the most recent trailer, is that every year the life expectancy drops a year, right? So like everyone's going to die.
Like real life.
Yeah, true. But like there's a huge number in the offset, and like they think that the gods are decreasing the life expectancy every year. And so like everyone that turns 37 dies that year. So like, and it finally gets to 33, and then these guys are like, wait, why is this happening? And so there's like this epic grand voyage, like trying to go figure out what in the world's happening. That's my interpretation of what the story is from the trailer. But obviously I haven't played the game yet, but everything that I've seen has given me like all-time great vibes. And it's not just me, because Drewby, this game, despite being on Game Pass, has sold 500,000 copies a day after the release. It is currently sitting at number 1 on Metacritic as the best reviewed game. Well, I guess technically it's tied for best game of this year with Blueprints. Phenomenal game. I'm going to talk about that eventually, either on Casket Minds or just another video for Casket Minds about how good this game is, because Casket Minds, Blueprints is so freaking good. Please go play it.
Casket Minds is so freaking good too.
Listen, I'm not going to toot, dude, but I'm going to toot my own horn right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Blueprints is one of the most intriguing puzzle games I've ever played in my entire life. It's also a roguelite, so it's like every run's different. This isn't the Blueprints podcast, unfortunately. This is Casket Minds. So it sits number 1 with Blueprints at 92 on Metacritic, which is number 1 for this year. Third would be Split Fiction. 5th is Kingdom Come Deliverance. 6th is Monster Hunter. So that tells you how good of a game this is. It's an RPG developed by 30 developers from France. They are ex-Ubisoft employees. And that itself shows you how much quality is out there and being let go from these huge studios that can go on and make like these extraordinary games. Like Blueprints and Expedition 33 are both indie games, or not, like they're indie developers with creative visions and freedoms to do whatever they want. And they've made the 2 best games of 2025 so far, at least critically. But yeah, I just really wanted to give this game a shout out because of one, best game of the year critically, of course, selling 500,000 copies. The Steam users go up. I think the peak is at 70,000 for Steam.
Nice.
Obviously, we're not going to hear the Game Pass numbers, but I'm sure that with all of the great word of mouth and the critic reception, that a lot more people are going to be playing this. Yeah. There's very, very, very Persona vibes from the UI, the UX, the presentation, but it's even more intricate than Persona, which is insane. Yeah. There's dodging and parrying mechanics in this game, so it's a turn-based RPG, but it's more interactive. Like you can dodge your opponent's attacks, you can parry your opponent's attacks if you're good enough. Get good, like in Sekiro. And honestly, like I like turn-based games a lot, but like having them more interactive is such a unique experience that I haven't experienced. And I'm sure there is at least a couple of games out there that have done this, but not to this level or scale. And so I'm really excited to jump into this and see how much I love it, because parrying and dodging are 2 of my favorite things in video games. Throw that into a turn-based game that makes it less like anonymous. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't need it like just press button Pokemon, because I can turn my brain off and play Pokemon. On top of like, this is apparently a god tier soundtrack, like one of the greatest of all time. It's being compared to things like Final Fantasy like 6 and 8. I've even seen some 10 shouts as well. Like, there's player freedom in the sense that like it's a party system game, but you can go explore with only one party, like or with one person in your party. So if you want to play as one character from your party, you can go explore with that one character, which I think is amazing. And also, since we talked about Rematch, Sifu, I'm blanking on the name of the studio, so I'll shout them out in a second. But the people that made Sifu and Rematch are also ex-devs of Ubisoft. So the last 2 games that we talked about and highlighting are...
I was going to say real quick, also both the devs of Sifu and Rematch and Expedition 33 are under the Kepler publisher right now. So they really seem to be like cranking out a lot of good stuff right now, and I think that's going to be a publisher that we're going to really see a lot from in the next couple of years.
You were absolutely correct, Ruby. Slow Clap is the developer of Sifu Rematch. Um, and Sandfall Interactive is the developers of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I do want to shout out Kepler Interactive really quickly because Druby did it. But I'll give you a few more titles that they've done in the last 3 years since they've become a publisher. They did Sifu. They did Scorn, which also had a Game Pass deal, which is like a very brutal first-person shooter. I don't know if it's survival horror. Do you know if it's survival horror? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
It looks really cool. I didn't play it, unfortunately, but I still want to. But we'll see. Maybe around spooky season. I think I'm saying this right. Chia, the T silent, Chia. It was a smaller game that came out in 2023. Last year they did Ultros, which is a Metroidvania. I think it's a Metroidvania. I think so. It's a 2D side scroller, so Jimmy Jam's gonna hate it.
Yeah.
Pacific Drive, which is a really cool game. I played the demo for that one when it came out. Very cool. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, which came out last summer. This year they did Bionic Bay, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and Rematch. So they're cooking, man. Like,
Yeah.
I know everything except for Cat Quest 3, which is an action role-playing game, apparently, by the Gentle Bros. It's apparently the third entry in the Cat Quest series.
Interesting.
Yeah. Ultros is a Metroidvania. And Chia is a smaller game. It looks very like similar and keen to Kenna Bridge of Spirits from a few years ago. Very, very similar, like art style. It's an action adventure game as well.
Nice.
But shout out to them because we need to support these games that are actually innovating and not costing you $70 a pop to use the same assets over and over. And if they are using the same assets, they're doing it in a unique and interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these devs are devs that have been laid off from these huge companies that go on and create these huge things. Like the voice cast for Expedition 33 alone, which is led by Ben Starr of Final Fantasy 16 fame now. That cast is insane. And it's getting, like, I think this game is going to clean up some awards at the Game Awards in December. Especially for like soundtrack, RPG, maybe even Game of the Year, to be quite honest. This game is getting insane reviews, and I cannot wait to jump in and play it.
Same here. I'm hoping that I can get some time in before we record next week, because I know that you were planning on doing that, giving first impressions next time we record. So it'd be really fun if we could both chat about it. But if not, at the very least, I'll be able to hear what you think about it.
Yes, sir. But let's move on to some hardware news and maybe even some horror news. So this week, this was the Switch 2 pre-orders. If you want one of those, unfortunately, you are out of luck temporarily. Put an asterisk beside it. They're sold out now, and I'm going to give you quickly my pre-order experience. So they were releasing at midnight Eastern Standard Time. I want a Nintendo Switch. I'm a hardware connoisseur. Like, I love all the little iterations. I love next gen consoles. Like, I'm an early adopter into pretty much every single one of them. So I was ready midnight. I was on every site trying to get in. Best Buy didn't put up theirs until 12:30, which is my preferred place to shop. Walmart had a queue immediately at midnight, but no one got in until like 12:20, 12:25. But Target was surprisingly the GOAT this time. Their website crashed immediately, but their app didn't. So if you wanted to switch at that point, like as fast as you possibly could, the best way to do it was go to the Target app, add it to your cart, and check out. And like some people were having issues with like payment methods and like addresses and stuff. But if like some people were adding it to their cart on their phone, then going to the computer, checking out like via that, like via like PC, and it was working. It was a shit show though. Like I was watching a live stream because I didn't have anything else to do and it was midnight. So I was watching this guy who supposedly is like an insider for like all these like all these kind of like releases, like trying to beat scalpers and stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'll watch it. I found him like a couple days ago on Twitter. I can't remember his name, otherwise I would shout him out. But I was hanging out with him in his stream while I was waiting, and I got mine at 12:38, I believe, is when I finally got my Switch pre-order in. And Target, Walmart, and Best Buy were the only three that were doing it on the pre-order night. GameStop's went up at like 11 a.m. the next day, and then that's when you can go in and pre-order, which is what Drewby did. Drewby, tell me about your experience with the Switch 2.
Yeah, so I wanted to get to my store a little bit earlier than I ended up getting there. And I mean, like, I was expecting there to be people. I wasn't expecting there to be that many people when I got there, but I got there almost 30 minutes early before they opened.
Mm-hmm.
And there was already a huge line, and I was like, oh man, am I gonna miss out on this? Which, good news and bad news. Good news, I secured a console after waiting outside for almost an hour and a half.
Let's go.
I wasn't able to get the Mario Kart World bundle, which I really wanted. Right before I got to the cash register, they had just sold out of them. So I barely missed it. If I would have gotten there a few minutes earlier, I probably would have gotten it. And then, so I was able to secure the console. Also pre-ordered Mario Kart World. But it's crazy. Like, you know, my store out of all the stores, which is not like the main store that's out here where I live, like that one having that big of a line is huge. And I'm sure they've probably already sold out of consoles there by now.
Surely.
But it was exciting. I haven't like experienced anything like that in a long time. I haven't been to like, you know, any of the big releases for anything in years and years now. So it was like really fun to like be able to like kind of experience that again of like, oh man, like I'm waiting in line with a bunch of people and we're just chatting about like being hyped about the console and everything. So it was a fun time. But
that's awesome. To your credit though, there haven't been many of these in the last few years. Like you have to go back to 2020 for the last like actual console release with Xbox One and PS5 or Xbox Series, Xbox Series X and S, and then PS5. But that was 2020 was COVID year, so like these stores weren't doing that at that time, and that was also a shit show. Much more so than this one because it's been 5 years now since those launches, and we've learned a little bit, not as much as we should have learned probably, but unfortunately, that's kind of just how the world works. They're not going to update their servers for pre-orders and then get rid of servers. That's not how corporations work. They're going to take a small PR hit and everyone gets their consoles regardless. But yeah, so like the last one that I can think of would be the Switch, but I got my Switch online as well. And then before that, I didn't get the PS4 at launch. I got the Destiny bundle that came out less than a year later. The white PS4 with they came with Destiny 2. Or no, Destiny 1. What am I talking about? The original Destiny. But I went to the midnight launch of that. I didn't go to the midnight launch of the Xbox One because I don't think anyone went to the midnight launch of Xbox One. If sales are any indicator. But yeah, it was... That night felt awesome because it was on the precipice of Bungie's next game. Plus, I was getting the console, so it was really cool. But it was still not the same vibe. And I didn't get the midnight launch because as soon as Best Buy's thing went up, I was like, "Oop, yep, give me that." Also, just to go back to the Switch to Mayhem. So if you were using Chrome or like a Chrome-like browser, so like Chromium or I use Brave. So if you were using a Chrome-like browser, most of the websites weren't working there. So what I did was I had my MacBook to my side, and so I went on Safari and I went on Best Buy and immediately got it. And I was like, that's some bullshit. I was so mad. I was like, you're telling me I could have easily just had this thing probably 10, 15 minutes before. But yeah, it was annoying. But it was also nice because, like, even though it was well past midnight, it was the exciting thing of, like, I secured this thing. And I was able to get the Mario Kart bundle, thankfully. So I don't have to pay the $30 extra for the physical. Even though I love the physical, but I mean, $80 is sheesh. Plus, I'm going to take Mario Kart anywhere with me at all times anyway, so that would just be taking up another slot in my case. I'm coping, guys. If you couldn't tell, just let me cope. I got that in the Pro Controller. But yeah, the fact that Chrome browsers weren't working that night, I was like, it figures because I use a Chrome like on all my platforms. So it was very. I even pulled up Edge on Windows and was like, you know what, we're gonna try, and it worked for Walmart. But at that point, I had already gotten the one at Best Buy, so I was like, I don't need another one. So
yeah,
I just exited out and took my happy ass to sleep and slept well, knowing that I got the Switch 2. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for Switch 2. June 5th. We are now less than 6 weeks away.
Crazy.
Very exciting things. Speaking of things that are further than 6 weeks away, but are very exciting. Drewby, Ghost of Yotei trailer with the announcing the release date. Did you watch the trailer? If you did, give me them thoughts.
I did watch the trailer. I wanted to say real quick, super random for them to just drop it like that without any state of play or anything. I was really confused at what their tactic was there. But the trailer is phenomenal. And you can already tell they improved the graphics on this thing from the last trailer that we got. Like, and if you look at it side by side with Ghost of Tsushima, like, it's like a night and day difference. It's incredible. But I love the story setup that we got here. I was seeing a lot of people say like, "Oh, this is basically Kill Bill meets Samurais," and I'm like, "Yeah, give it to me." This, I think it looks phenomenal. I love the premise. I love the setting, and it's making me want to go back and finally finish Ghost of Tsushima because I'm pretty close to finishing the game, and I'll definitely do that before I get to this one. But yeah, this looks amazing. Having it drop in October, I think, is perfect because that'll give us plenty of time to play the Switch and, you know, Death Stranding 2 or whatever else throughout the summer. So I'm hyped. I will say, I think that means that we're not really getting anything else PlayStation related this year, though. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but we've got Death Stranding 2 in June, July. And then we've got Marathon in September for your multiplayer fix. And then we've got Ghost of Yotei in October. So
yeah, and honestly, it's not the worst year for Sony.
No.
It's honestly quite good if we honestly sit down and think about it. Like, Last of Us 2 just hit PC. Days Gone Remastered is out this week. Then you have, like you were saying, Death Stranding 2 is in June. Marathon in September. Ghost of Yotei hits October 2nd. That's a strong year for PlayStation. Like, that's hitting pretty much every audience that you need and want. And honestly, this leaves like a surprise for like either like a random pop-up game like Astrobot was, or just like a third-party deal that they could come up with and just release in the like December-ish. I echo a lot of your thoughts of Ghost of Yotei. I platinumed it on PS4. Started the New Game Plus on PS5, but didn't finish that. I also want to go back and do the DLC because I heard the DLC is pretty good. But I'm terrible about going back and playing DLCs after I beat the game, especially like platinuming it. I'm like, I feel like I'm finished with it, and then it's like DLC. It's like, oh shit. All right. But yeah, I echo a lot of your thoughts. I think that I wasn't expecting this trailer to win me over from a story standpoint, but it did. I'm very interested in the story now. I think that it still fits those themes of the Ghost series. I guess it's only one game, but at this point, it now has the theme of like revenge and like getting back at people that do wrong things, and maybe not the most samurai way or like most honorable way. The combat looks very good. The gameplay, phenomenal. From the little bit that we've seen. The day before this came out, I put in our group chat, it got rated in Taiwan. And I was like, is this going to be the last thing shown at Summer Game Fest? Because we're like 6 weeks away from that. And then, nope. Woke up next morning. They were like, here's the trailer. Comes out October 2nd. But I think the most, maybe not exciting, but the most interesting thing and angle that I have for this is that Sony is concrete putting this thing out in 5 months' time, right? They come out and they dated it. This is the second time, I believe, that we've seen Ghost of Yotei. And Sony and PlayStation aren't dummies, right? Like, we can jokingly call them dummies, but they know that if they put out this game, it's going to succeed. They wouldn't be doing that otherwise. Which in my brain, and I guess I'll eat crow if I'm wrong, is that I think this further confirms that GTA 6 is not coming out this year. Because September, October, November, everyone and their mother wants to stay away from those dates as much as they possibly can. But we now have 3 big games confirmed for September and October. 2 of them being PlayStation, another one being Borderlands 4. I believe GTA 5 came out in September. So yeah. I think that the industry at large is starting to like be like, yeah, GTA 6 actually isn't coming. Jason Schreier was correct. It's not coming. And I'm buying more and more into that by the minute. What do you think?
So you say PlayStation isn't dumb, but I actually am gonna have to counterpoint that real quick. Horizon, Zero Dawn, and Forbidden West.
Yeah,
double whammy of releasing with Breath of the Wild, and then Forbidden West was with Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Elden Ring,
that's what it was. Yeah. So they had a double whammy of releasing it at the worst possible time for both games,
right next to 2 of the greatest games I've ever made.
Exactly. And so obviously, like, I think that Ghost of Tsushima has a little bit more pull than Horizon does, just in the general like PlayStation fan base.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There still could be a possibility that it hits November or December for GTA. Like, you know, we obviously are going to have the next Call of Duty releasing in November, but like, it's Rockstar. Like, if they're going to release their game this year, they don't care what else is dropping. And I don't know. I have a feeling that it still could drop this year. It could be missing. Maybe it'll just be like an early release next year. That would probably be the most ideal because there's so many games coming out this year that I do want to play. But I don't know. PlayStation has messed up before, so
It's true.
They might be doing it again. I don't know.
My only 2 rebuttals, and I'm going to rebut you and then I'm going to rebut myself, is that Horizon is the Titanfall of PlayStation, where they both sell incredibly well, right? I mean, obviously Titanfall didn't sell incredibly well, but it has a cult following now. But the Horizon series sells is through the roof. If not mistaken, it's like over 30 million between the two iterations of the franchise. And like Titanfall released at the two worst times, and we talked about this in the pod last time. I forget what the game original one launched next to, but the second one launched in between Call of Duty and Battlefield, which was awful decision making. If GTA 6 comes out and Ghost stays where it is, yeah, PlayStation is very dumb.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like if you know that thing is coming and you're still putting it out to die, then so be it. But actually, I have two more rebuttals. So my first rebuttal, I guess they're both to myself, is that Ghost of Yotei could just simply be delayed. Like if GTA comes out tomorrow and is like, hey, we're coming out October 2nd, like you're not competing day of with GTA. You're not even competing in the same month. Every game that's coming out that month, just forget about it. Then like every publication, every casual, every person is going to be talking about GTA 6. It's going to be the biggest launch of anything ever. Literally anything ever.
Yeah.
Even if it launches $100, people are buying GTA 6. It doesn't matter. That's going to be the biggest thing that's ever happened in like entertainment. That said, Ghost is such a uniquely different game than GTA 6 that it could still survive, but it's not going to thrive. Like, if you have a choice to spend your $70 plus on either one of those games, GTA 6 is winning every single time. Even the PlayStation fans, like, I love Ghost of Tsushima so much. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But GTA, it's Grand Theft Auto. Like, you have to get away from it. It's the biggest blockbuster of blockbusters. Like, it's the like I feel gross saying this, but it's like end game of video games at the moment. Like, you know it's going to do billions and quickly, and it's like if you're anywhere around it, you're just going to get caked. Like, no one's going to talk about Ghost of Tsushima if Grand Theft Auto 6 is out. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't want to do that. So my only hope is that if Grand Theft Auto is still this year, then PlayStation has the wits to be like, we cannot compete. We have to move to like February. And it's not like Ghost has a traditional release date anyway. Like the first one came out in the summer of 2020. 2020, yeah. Like, right? Yeah. July 2020, I think.
I think so.
Because it came out like the month after The Last of Us 2, which is crazy. What an insane back-to-back for Sony. Yeah, so this one already getting like a fall release date is unique in of itself. So we can push that to spring. Just give it 6 months. You'll get your money eventually, just not when Grand Theft Auto comes out. But I do think it sparks an interesting conversation of like, does Sony know that it's not coming? And if they know, when is Rockstar going to tell us? Because they need to hurry up. I want to know if it's this year or not.
Yeah. I think that we're going to get our next like big marketing push for GTA 6 soon. At least within the next like 2 or 3 months. I really do feel like it's going to happen soon. Even if the game is hitting next year, like I think we're going to be getting that next push soon. So
if I remember correctly, the next stakeholder call is May 15th, which is just shy of 3 weeks away. So we're under 3 weeks away now. So hopefully it's either we still plan on releasing it, which would, at this point, I think we could safely assume that it's 2025 if it's going to ship this year. Because you got to have so much ready to go for that game.
Yeah.
So hopefully within the next 3 weeks we know. But Obviously, we won't know until Rockstar tells us something. But this isn't the Grand Theft Auto podcast. This is the Casket Minds podcast. And Ghost of Yotei looks freaking awesome. October 2nd. Can't wait for this game to look so freaking pretty on my PS5 Pro. And I will have to cope with having a Pro and not much enhanced stuff. Also, I wanted to say this. I mentioned this to a couple of my friends earlier. Is that a lot of the games right now that are coming out that are PS5 Pro enhanced are all Xbox titles. So Indiana Jones just came out with a whole like plethora of editions. Forza just came out with a plethora of editions. Oblivion Remastered is PS5 Pro enhanced, and it's like I'm playing all of these on Game Pass and PC, and it's just so funny. What a time that we live in! Like if you would have told me in Oblivion's time, 2006, that I'd be playing Xbox games on PlayStation, I would have freaking laughed at you. Actually, if you told me that 10 years ago, I would have laughed at you, to be fair.
Honestly.
Because I think 2016 is when Xbox made the real push for the PC day and date stuff. Because I remember, because 2016, I was playing Gears of War 4 on PC, I think. And I was like, this is weird. Like doing control, like keyboard and mouse for Gears. Yeah. Felt so good, though. Sticking in the vein of PlayStation, though. Well, I guess console, because it's both. We got those themes, Drew. PlayStation is bringing back the 30th anniversary themes permanently. Thank God. You should have never took them away to begin with. It makes no sense why you did, just to give it back to us a month later.
Ridiculous.
But the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 themes are back on PS5. So if you had those, if you missed those, they are back. They're permanent now. They're really cool. I had the PS1 one for a good bit. Then I switched to PS2. I didn't do PS3 because still salty. Yeah, that's true. That is the least favorite. But I'm also still salty that we can't get any of their freaking games ported to PS5 natively. I'm so tired of having to stream this shit. Yeah. Figure it out. It's 2025. But on the flip side of things, Drewby, Oblivion Remastered and Doom: The Dark Ages now have dynamic themes on the Xbox Series, and those are amazing.
Yeah, they look so fantastic.
Mine is Oblivion right now, but the Doom one just came out today. So I'm probably going to alternate, to be honest. It'll probably be Oblivion until Doom comes out, and then Doom's going to have my mind share for a good bit because, good lordy, that Dark Ages looks so good. I cannot wait for that game.
Yeah. It's also funny that we're getting like back-to-back games about killing demons.
That's true.
From Xbox, so...
Oh, I wanted to say this earlier in the Oblivion discussion, but the Daedra is like some of my favorite stuff in the Elder Scrolls in general. So this game is like cater-made to me. Like every Skyrim run was grabbing the Daedra stuff ASAP and just rocking that. Oh my god, so good. Daedra Armor is like goated. Moving on from the themes, because not everyone cares about themes. We're going to move on to a game that no one cares about, in The Crew 2 and The Crew Motorfest. But this is very cool. They're receiving offline modes, which should have already happened, but nonetheless, I will give a clap for a late but nice job for Ubisoft. Good guy Ubisoft doing good guy things.
It's random for them to do that, but I do really appreciate it. I think it's far too late, especially The Crew 2 came out in 2018. So
7 years.
7 years later, and you're finally giving us offline mode to a game that probably not a lot of people are playing anymore because the most recent Crew came out a few years ago. So I don't know, but I still think it's cool that they're doing it, but also like what are you doing over there?
Yeah, it's baffling. Like even the way that they treat the Crew. I remember when they were advertising the Crew 1, I was like, this is awesome. And then I got it and I was like, this is pretty awesome. And then I drove across the country that night and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not as awesome as I thought it was. And then like when Motorfest came out, which is the third actual iteration, I thought it was like a DLC or like a standalone DLC kind of ordeal. But no, it was like the full third installment in the series, and I was like, "You're not marketing this correctly." Like, I would have maybe tried it out if you would have given me the like actual information. But it's Ubisoft, and they're giving 7-year-old games offline modes in 2025. So, no, but seriously, congratulations to the people that play those games. You won. I don't think anybody else did, though. It's just kind of baffling. But it's good news. So, because it leads us into the next story, Drewby. And that Skate 4 won't have an offline mode. It's 2025, dude. Let me skate on a skateboard offline. And I know that like we're always connected to the internet. Like your phone can be a hotspot. It's literally a router in your pocket. Like I get it. But dude, come on. Like if your internet goes out for 2 seconds, you're not playing the game.
Yeah, and especially when like you think about the franchise as it already stands, the first 3 games can be played offline. Like, and I know what was that?
Goated games, by the way.
Oh yeah. I'm a massive fan, especially the second and third game. But yeah, it's baffling. I know that this is going to alienate a lot of players because a lot of players were already like, oh, it's free to play, so there's going to be microtransactions. This is not going to help your case anymore. EA, get your stuff together. Come on now. Like you've been through this time and time again, and you're messing up again. It's so frustrating. But yeah, that's all I can say about that. I can't really talk about the game much, unfortunately.
I forgot that it was free to play in a live service fucking skate game. Holy shit, dude. They're like, hey, dude, what do you guys want from this next skate game? And everyone says all their wishes, and they're like, you know what? No. And they just do everything opposite. Why? Like, microtransactions makes perfect sense for skate. Like, there's so many skate brands, skaters. Like, I get it, right? But holy shit. Have you missed the mark on what people want from skate?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll probably be a success anyways for them. And I don't want it to fail because I want there to be like a great skate game.
Yeah.
But God, do I not want EA to win for doing all the wrong things. Holy dude, that's insane. If you're watching the video, you'll probably see me like actual react to Drewby telling me this information again. And I'm just like rubbing my eyes because I'm so frustrated at why they would ever do this. And then we get to the next story, Drewby, where EA actually does something that I like. And I'll give them a little clap on the back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm clapping on their back, but I'm going to do it. You know? Just stick one of my hands
That
there.
doesn't sound right, bro.
EA, I will clap your back, all right?
Oh, man.
So NCAA and Madden both got release dates. July 10th for NCAA college football. Madden is on August the 14th. The good thing about this is that there is no last-gen consoles anymore. Whoop, whoop. Give them a clap on the back.
Clapping them on the back.
Let's go. It's about time. Listen, if you're still on PS4 and Xbox One and you still want your Madden, just get the dang console. It's been, by the time this comes out, it's almost 5 years, 4.5, 5 years. It's time. PS5 is selling buttloads, but like Xbox obviously isn't. But there's no PC port for NCAA. I should point that out. I think Madden's still getting one, which makes sense because they're always there. And NCAA was built from the ground up. Different kind of thing, different engine, plays differently. Yeah. So it's all the people that are sports games are the same. It's not. But it's important to leave last gen stuff so that innovation can happen. You're bound to that technology. No PC port for NCAA does suck, but I really don't think the audience for that is on PC. And if they are on PC, they probably have a PS5 for either their kid or just to play Sony exclusives or something. Yeah. So I don't think it's a huge deal. But it sucks that there's not an available option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no one plays Madden on PC anyway, so it's like it just is what it is. But
Are either of those confirmed for Nintendo Switch 2, by the way?
ooh, that's a great question. I don't. I think
Oh,
Madden might
actually,
be.
yeah, I just looked it up. Madden is confirmed. I don't think NCAA is yet, but cool.
Interesting. Which now begs the question: well, I guess since they're leaving last gen consoles behind, it wouldn't use PS5, PS4's version. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep our eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, that's exciting though. Because more people are going to be able to play it. So,
Dude, Madden on the Go was the best on PSP and PS Vita. Like,
yeah,
we used to pass it around on the school bus all the time. And
nice.
I remember in high school when Cam Newton got drafted, this guy was talking mad shit, and so I had to beat him with Cam Newton with the Panthers in his rookie season. It was very good.
Nice.
I had the whole bus hollering. It was very, very good stuff. This is pretty good news from EA, so they get a clap on the back. But moving on from EA, thank God. Mafia, the Old Country gameplay trailer, is out on May 8th, plus the dev panel. It's at PAX East later that day. So we talked about this a little bit on a previous episode of the Casket Minds where the release date leaked. I believe that's August 8th, which is funny because everything just ends in an 8. Very convenient for me, who likes numbers but also forgets numbers when he's podcasting. So Mafia gameplay trailer coming out. This game looks awesome. The Mafia games are awesome. You should very much look forward to that. May 8th is right around the corner. We're like, 2 weeks away from May 8th? 2-ish weeks, like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It's not important. You know when May 8th is when you're listening. Anyways, Mafia, the Old Country gameplay trailer, May 8th. It looks cool. Drewy, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped. I'm hoping that this game plays awesome, and I'm hoping that it reviews well because I drafted it in Fantasy Critic, which they mostly have a good track record. Like aside from Mafia 3 being in the 70s, they're usually like low 80s. So I'm fingers crossed that it pulls through. But I just think like the premise of this one is awesome. I love that we're like going back even further into the past. And I am always down for some good old Mafia style stuff. Give me that like Godfather type beat in games, So
oh hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm hyped for it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that this is a prequel as well.
Yeah.
Or at least of some kind of sort. But yeah, good stuff. Very excited to see what the gameplay actually looks like. Hoping it looks fantastic. I'm honestly expecting it to. Mafia 3 was a red herring in that series. The series is much better than that. And the game itself even got better than that. So,
Sure.
I don't know if I think I told the story, but if not, I'll just quickly tell it. That's the only game that I ever refunded on Steam was Mafia 3 because it launched broke on PC.
Yeah.
The other game that I've ever only refunded digitally is Ark Survival, and I will stand on all 10 toes and say that I hate that game. I don't hate many things in my life, but I hate Ark Survival. So I was getting my 60 ducks back, whatever. I think I said ducks too, but I'm not going to fix that. But last two things here before we get out of your hair. We have bad news and we have good news, which is apparently the theme of this episode.
Yeah.
There was a Bladerunner game in development, character-focused, cinematic, action-adventure game developed by Supermassive, and it has been canceled, which breaks my Blade running heart.
Yeah.
I love these two movies, especially 2049, one of my favorite movies of all time. Sci-fi masterpiece in every facet. Yeah, I'm very bummed about this. Something from Supermassive could have been really special, in my opinion. What do you think about this?
It sucks, man. Blade Runner is a franchise that is ripe for a game. And yeah, like the premise of it, like it was going to be a third person action adventure game. And they said that they're like 4 gameplay pillars was going to be stealth, combat, exploration, and investigation. Um, and it was just going to be a heavy emphasis on storytelling. It was going to be set in 2065, and you were going to be the only Blade Runner that was like left or something like that. And so just the sounds of what they were trying to do with this game, it sounds great. It's a shame that they're canceling it, because just conceptually it sounds awesome. And you know, we've been having that happen a lot lately, where games have been announced like years ago. This one is a different case. It was only announced like last year, I think. But like, we're having a lot of games recently get canceled that had great premises. Like the Wonder Woman game, for example, getting canned. That sucks, because that was like perfect concept, and using the Nemesis system and everything be so freaking cool. So it's a shame. Supermassive, they made Until Dawn and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So that would have been interesting to see them branch out into like, you know, a more action focused game. They already got, you know, like storytelling down really well, because that's kind of their thing. So if they could have incorporated that into an action game, I think that would have been really cool. So yeah, it's a shame that we're not going to be getting this. I hope it's not the last time someone tries to make a Blade Runner game, though. I would love to see a game in this world.
Obviously, the dream would be CD Projekt Red making Blade Runner of some kind, because obviously Cyberpunk. But like, man, Blade Runner is a universe that I think would not be harmed by additional like shows, movies, games, because you can go so many places with it.
Yeah.
It's one of the few like universes where I feel like the more the better, because of just how much intrigue it is. And maybe people felt this way about Star Wars before Star Wars was everywhere, but like the fact that we have these 2 movies about like a certain like slice of characters, there's so much more story to tell.
Yeah.
I'm actually currently reading the book that Blade Runner is based off of, and it's very good. But for the purposes of Supermassive, they have done the Dark Pictures anthology games, Until Dawn, as you mentioned, The Quarry, the casting of Frank Stone. They published. I don't think they actually, or maybe they developed it and then it was published by Behavior Interactive. I think that's right. I think they developed it. And they have a new game coming out this year, called Directive 8020, that is set in the Dark Pictures anthology series. But I believe that it's a little bit different than the normal status quo. And then, of course, Little Nightmares 3 is now being developed by Supermassive, which is a huge undertaking considering the first 2 games are fantastic. Have you played those games?
I have not, but I've always wanted to.
Dude, you would love them. You should absolutely play them.
Yeah. I was also going to say, Supermassive is also making, aren't they making a, why can't I think of the name? The multiplayer horror game. It's like the go-to one, where you have to like fix the generators and shit.
Oh, Dead by Daylight?
Dead by Daylight. Aren't
the casting of Frank Stone was
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
That's already come out.
Oh, it has?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
2024.
Wow. For some reason I thought it was coming out this year. Well, cool.
I'll give you a quick rundown of how well that did. After a quick Google search, it says that IGN has a 5 out of 10. Eurogamer gave it 3 out of 5. GameSpot gave it 6 out of 10.
Shame.
Yeah, that game, dude, it's really a failure that that game came out and both of us really didn't even know about it or care about it.
Yeah,
As as much as we love horror, like that should have been clearly conveyed that that game came out. Because what a cool
yeah,
premise that is.
for sure, for sure.
I'm really enjoying this. Like, I don't think you would call it a renaissance, but it's a, I don't even know what to call it though. This new, I guess, I don't even know how to. Where do I start? So, like what Riot's doing with their fighting game 2XKO, where like they're taking the characters from League of Legends and making a fighting game out of it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that there's now like games that are taking characters from their games, creating different styles of games with those characters, and then putting them out. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah.
Like similar to how like Jinx got her own show with Arcane on Netflix. Like I think more games doing that would be peak. Like I feel like we need that.
I agree. I know that's what they're trying to do with like Halo Studios now. Like they're trying to branch out and not just do uh
Paramount
the
Plus shows.
mainline games. No, no. We're gonna forget about that. But I mean like we're gonna see a lot more like spin-off Halo games that aren't gonna be traditional first-person shooters, which I think is great because that world is perfect for potential with that. If Halo Wars and ODST are anything to show for that.
I love you, ODST. I'll never let them hate you.
Yes.
But
Speaking of things that we're not gonna hate, though.
true, great segue. The last thing, which ended up being a baker's dozen, by the way. So, RIP to the people that thought they were getting a dozen today. Wrong. Try again. uh, because I added the rematch impressions.
That's fair.
The baker's dozen, the extra little nugget that you're getting in your 12-piece box today, is that Remedy has announced FBC Firebreak is releasing on June 17th. It is coming to Game Pass. It is coming to PS Plus. If you don't subscribe to those ideologies of renting services, whatever you want to call them, whatever vernacular you want to use, if you don't want that, you want to own the game, it is a $40 standard purchase and a $50 deluxe. Pretty standard in terms of your mid-tier kind of ordeals.
Yeah.
I have now platinum Control twice. I did it when the weekend that it came out. I was all over that. And then last January, as in 2024, I was playing through all of the Remedy games leading up to Alan Wake 2, which I did all of it except for Alan Wake 2, which is so annoying because I played through the entire freaking universe in DLCs to get to Alan Wake 2, and then I dropped off. Anyways, I'll play Alan Wake 2, probably around spooky season to be fair. But anyways, I love Control. And this gives me a reason to get back into that universe, into that world before Control 2, which is going to be amazing, by the way. And I get to do it with friends. And I get to be like basically a Ghostbuster in the Control universe. And that's epic.
It is epic, which it'll be on Epic Games store, by the way. Yeah, I think it looks freaking awesome. The reveal trailer was great, and then the second trailer they dropped for it. I'm fully down for this. Whenever they were talking about making a multiplayer game for Control, I was a little bit worried because this is Remedy's first time doing this, and I feel like when you hear like, oh, we're making a multiplayer game, it's gonna be live service. That's not what FBC Firebreak is. They already confirmed it's not a live service game. They're gonna release updates for it that are gonna be free, but they're not doing like a live service model. This game is meant to be, you kind of get what you get when the game comes out. And the extra updates they do for it are just going to be additional things. It's not going to be like anything super substantial, I guess, or whatever. So I love that. I love when we get a multiplayer game that's just nothing more than that. So it feels nice to be getting a game like that again. But just in terms of like how the gameplay looks, it looks super fun, and I think the premise is fantastic. So I'm excited to jump back into like Remedy's universe, because I think it's one of the most fascinating in the gaming space. And I'm also really excited. They said that, like, even though it is a multiplayer game, they're not going to shy away from any of their like storytelling. So we're still going to get like crazy cool world building, and I'm sure stuff that'll tie us into Control 2 and probably even like an Alan Wake 3. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too. And I actually forgot about like the live service aspect of that, of like they're not doing that. And it's great because this game has always reminded me of like Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
And how that's like it comes in the complete package. They'll give it like updates over time. They'll even throw some DLC, like some more like maps and stuff. And like you got to imagine like when Control 2 comes out, if we see more of the old house, that they'll throw in that content into FBC eventually, which will keep the game's longevity up. Because Control 2 is probably next year, if not the year after. And I'm really stoked for this one. I love when a game's like, this is what it is unabashedly, and there's no reserve about it. We know exactly what this game is going to be. It's going to be very fun, zany multiplayer with your friends in a very cool and familiar setting. So I honestly can't wait. Like I said, I don't want to break the horse's back after it's already dead, but I'm going to keep beating it and say that this game reminds me so much of Left 4 Dead. Like,
yeah,
just the way that it plays, the way that the enemies feel, the way that the setting and the lighting, like, I feel like we're going to get so many countless hours of gameplay out of this, just me, you, and Jim, of just enjoying and soaking in this atmosphere. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great time. June, what a freaking month, man.
I can't wait. We're almost there. We're almost to May, but we're not there yet. But where we are, Drewby, is at the end of this episode of the Casket Minds podcast. So as always, thank you guys for watching and listening to the Casket Minds podcast. You guys can find us at YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now Twitch. There will be a link tree in the description if you want to follow us personally. I'm at Mayor Karth on everything. And Drewby?
Drubaka with 3 A's. Yeah, so.
Oh, that's thick.
It is.
So until next time, share, like, subscribe to someone that you think would enjoy the channel, and we'll see you next time. Be kind to one another.